You're probably thinking, how can the Goku we know turn evil? While it is a weird set of events that must happen to get him there, I do believe it is possible. Though to get him to that point, we start this what if similar to Moscow X's what if of what if Goku won against Master Roshi. I only use that title as a reference for this one since it's the one that inspired me to make a what if Goku turned evil. Anyway, we begin at age 750 during the final round of the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament. On one side, we have Jackie Chun, and on the other we have Goku, with him still not recognizing that Jackie Chun is Master Roshi in disguise. Once the match begins, it goes very similar up until the very end of it. Everything in the battle is basically the same: the Kamehameha struggle, Goku becoming a great ape, then the full moon being destroyed by Jackie Chun, and with them leaping at each other for a final kick. The change comes when Goku does what he has done against many enemies and uses his teeth instead. This time, he bites Jackie Chun's foot instead of trying to kick him back. Afterwards, it still ends with them having to stand up and declare themselves the winner. This time around, Goku is the one to stand up first and declare himself the winner. This also obviously means that Jackie Chun / Master Roshi comes in second place this time around. Master Roshi's whole point of participating in this tournament was for Goku and Krillin to learn that there will always be someone stronger than them out there, which, since Goku won in his first tournament, he wouldn't learn this lesson in Master Roshi's. Roshi would be disappointed he didn't get to teach Goku this lesson, but things would go on as per usual after the tournament ended. Roshi treats them to dinner, then tells them he taught them all he could, so Goku decides to leave to search for the 4-star Dragon Ball as per usual. From there, things go the exact same, but there does start to be a change in Goku's personality. As the Red Ribbon Army saga goes on, he will get cockier after this victory of his, like against the likes of Major Metallitron. This will fuel his ego more and become like a snowball effect, with him continuing to get even cockier over time, to the point of thinking he can't lose. Though these victories become more enjoyable, they're also less rewarding and effective. Eventually, when the encounters with General Blue start, Goku would see him as a cheater since he doesn't want to face him in a direct battle. If he does somehow lose to General Blue, Goku would claim it didn't count since he wasn't playing by the rules. Though, this would mainly be to keep his honor and pride intact. Goku also wouldn't want to fight against someone if he thought it wasn't a fair fight. Though, Goku would still do everything he could to fight and win against strong opponents. However, the telekinesis of General Blue would be more of an annoyance to Goku. He would feel like he has to show him the error of his ways and that he should rely on other things besides cheating like he has been. As time goes on, he becomes even more self-righteous while also starting to think he is perfect, and that people could stand to learn things from him. This is obviously a slippery slope that Goku is starting to go down. Eventually, the time to face Mercenary Tao comes around, which would obviously be a test to this. Being defeated by the Mercenary would motivate him to get stronger to learn his secrets and why he is so strong. Goku is also angry they didn't win against Tao. Here is also where it starts to branch off from Masaka's timeline. In this version, Goku would start to think the only reason Mercenary Tao defeated him was because of his Dodon Ray, and that he couldn't have won without it. This anger of Goku's also makes him a more difficult student for Korin to control since his pomposity would be troublesome. Though regardless of Goku's personality changing, he still would pass the Sacred Water test. However, he would be disappointed by the deception of Korin when he learns it was just tap water. Also, one night on Korin's tower he also attempts to copy the Dodon Ray. He should be able to do this, especially with how easily he copied the Kamehameha previously after only seeing it once. Goku's plan for this technique would be to use it to basically give Tao a taste of his own medicine. The fight with Mercenary Tao goes the same, up until the point that he attempts to use the Dodon Ray this time. Instead of Goku just catching it in his hands, he uses the Dodon Ray to counter it, since he learned how to copy it. At this point, Mercenary Tao would probably be realizing he can't win, but he would also start to be impressed by this kid's potential. Mainly, he'd be thinking of the money this kid could help him make if he joined his side. Now, if you think this is unlikely, there's two things to take into consideration. First, Mercenary Tao is all about the money, so using a potential cash cow like Goku is a no-brainer. Second, Mercenary Tao took advantage of Goku's innocence in the manga when he almost convinced Goku to forgive him, and I think he could do the same thing here. But this time around, he would also be trying to convince him to come train with him to become even stronger, so that he could use Goku to make himself more money. Goku would most likely agree to this, since he could take any chance he can to get stronger. However, Goku would only accept on the condition that he gets to finish collecting the Dragon Balls to revive Bora. Even though Tao was tasked with getting the Dragon Balls for the Red Ribbon Army, he'd have to reluctantly accept this if he wants to make use of Goku. He'd probably use the rationale that he could make more money from this kid in the future than what he's being paid by the Red Ribbon Army. Goku's victory against Tao would still assure himself that he's supposed to be undefeatable against all odds, that his first defeat against Tao was just a temporary setback. He'd also see this setback as something that led to him getting even stronger, though he'd also think that no one would need to know he was bested. Afterwards, when Goku takes off to go to the Red Ribbon HQ, Mercenary Tao would go along with him. Goku would most likely still destroy the helicopter, and once Commander Red orders the cameras to be turned on, they'd realize Mercenary Tao turned against them, since he's there with that Goku kid. The two of them working together would reach Commander Red even faster than Goku alone did. It's very likely they would take out Staff Officer Black before he even got in the robot suit. Before the army disbands, Mercenary Tao could see an opportunity here. What better way to make even more money than having a whole army to back you up? So, instead of just letting the army disband, he overthrows it and seizes power for himself. So, as a kind of a dumb idea, since people in the Red Ribbon Army can have code names, such as Dr. Gero's son Jibo having the codename Gold, once Mercenary Tao becomes the commander of the Red Ribbon Army, I was going to give him a codename to go by as well to go with the color naming scheme. I looked at shades of pink for the color idea, since Tao wears pink, and I found one that starts with a T, which was Taffy. It's definitely not a name that fits Tao personality-wise, but that's what makes it seem even more like a joke thing that would be done in Dragon Ball. So, when communicating with the army, he goes under the codename of Commander Taffy. Mainly, he's just going to use the army to fulfill his duties as the mercenary, while Tao is training Goku. However, before the training can start, Goku has Mercenary Tao keep up his end of the bargain. When Goku goes to meet Bulma about the radar, everyone would most likely be suspicious about Mercenary Tao's motives, especially Master Roshi, since he would most likely know Mercenary Tao is the brother of Master Shen. Goku would convince him that it's fine, that he believes Tao is starting to turn over a new leaf, since he begged for forgiveness. He doesn't know Tao faked this begging for forgiveness as a way to get Goku on his side. Goku still is an innocent and impressionable kid, regardless of him becoming more self-righteous and egotistical in this timeline. Though, Goku's personality here would reach the point where he starts boasting about winning against the Red Ribbon Army. He'd be boasting to the point past the level of being arrogant and into the level of self-importance. Afterwards, when they go to meet with fortune teller Baba, Mercenary Tao would be one of the 5 fighters. Since Upa and Puar are so small, Baba/her fighters agreed on it being fine for the two of them to count as one fighter so they can fight together. Mercenary Tao would be next in line to fight after Yamcha, so the fights would go the same up until Yamcha loses to Bandages the Mummy. Tao's power at this point is enough to win against Bandages the Mummy and Spike the Devil Man. Because of the Devil Might being able to literally kill the person it's used against, though, Tao should be able to avoid this since he usually doesn't toy around in fights like Goku does. He's more of a person to finish a fight quickly and would knock Spike the Devil Man out instead of letting him use the Devil Might beam against him. When Baba's last fighter comes out, the Masked Man, Mercenary Tao's power was weaker than his, so Tao will lose in this fight. So, we obviously still get Goku going up against the Masked Man, which, as per usual, turns out to be Grandpa Gohan. Their fight will go basically the same, with Grandpa Gohan still exploiting the weakness that is his tail. Once Goku learns that his tail was holding him back and that without it he can become even stronger, he realizes that losing it wasn't a bad thing. Since he lost his tail, he goes on to start thinking that without the limitation, anything is possible, and it is now less likely for him to lose. Grandpa Gohan would see that Goku is focused on winning instead of bettering himself. He'd also be a little worried about Goku working with the likes of Mercenary Tao, and ask Roshi to snap him out of this sense of righteousness before it becomes too late. He also asked Roshi to try and get him away from the likes of Mercenary Tao, because he would most likely be a bad influence on him. After the fight ends, Goku goes to get the last Dragon Ball, and summons Shenron and revives Bora. Afterwards, he heads off with Mercenary Tao to go and start his training under him. The Mercenary would most likely take him to where Master Shen has his crane school, Before they leave, Master Roshi would still suggest Goku meeting with him in 3 years at the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. Tao would have his brother help in the training of Goku, but Tao would still be his master during this time. Basically, it would go similar to how Tien was trained when he was younger. Tien was trained with the Crane School while also being taught by Mercenary Tao. However, this would worry Tien that his training would be horned in on by Goku. Tien during this time would probably grow to resent Goku since he feels like Goku is horning in on his training. Master Shen would teach Goku in the Crane School way. Mercenary Tao, on the other hand, would teach Goku his assassination techniques. Tien would still be stronger than Goku at this point, so when the two spar against each other, Tien would be repeatedly beating Goku down. This would lead to Shen teaching him that the only way to surpass Tien is to use more brutal and underhanded techniques, and that might lead to him being able to defeat Tien. This is 3 years earlier than this 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, where Tien had a power level of 180, so let's say his power is about 135, which would put him above Goku's power level of 126. Eventually, Mercenary Tao would get to the point of having Goku help him with carrying out his assassination contracts. Now, you're most likely thinking Goku wouldn't do this, but his personality would have been affected from both Tao's and Shen's training. If he was reluctant, Tao would most likely lie to deceive Goku, as he has done before. Tao might tell him things like the people they're contracted to defeat are bad people. He also might play off of Goku's desire to fight really strong people, and tell him that this is how he can further prove he is the strongest. Goku does have morality, but the longer time goes on, the more his morals are corrupted from Mercenary Tao and Master Shen. In this training, especially with the being beaten by Tien repeatedly and the resulting power boost since he's a Saiyan, he would most likely surpass Tien. Goku's power originally went from 126 to 180, but with Mercenary Tao's and Master Shen's training, his power would go from 126 to 195. Mercenary Tao and Master Shen might both pass on lessons about people not being worth anything unless they have something to gain from them, which in their case is money, but in Goku's case is him getting stronger. So, Goku's personality would become one of him being even more ruthless and arrogant. Also, with him surpassing Tien and basically becoming the top Crane School student, it would make Goku think that he was right about that he was meant to be the strongest out there. With Goku being Master Shen's top student instead of Tien, he might teach the Tri-Beam to Goku as well, since Tien probably already was taught it by this point. When Tien is surpassed by Goku, his resentment for the young boy grows even more, where it'll all come to a head at the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. Shotsu would most likely also resent Goku. The reason for that being since Shotsu usually did whatever Tien did, so if Tien didn't like someone, he most likely wouldn't like them either. When everyone arrives and Master Shen approaches Master Roshi, the Turtle Hermit would be shocked to say the least when he sees Goku with them. Anyway, the two hermits still had their little rivalry argument before they head inside, but Goku stays behind to talk with Master Roshi and his friends. By the time this tournament starts, Goku's personality would have changed even more in the past 3 years. His confidence would continue to grow, even more so after he surpassed Tien as the top student in the Crane School. He would have become more ruthless and unforgiving because of the teachings of Master Shen and Mercenary Tao. Even before seeing how Goku fights now, Master Roshi would see he's starting to go down a dark path, just as Grandpa Gohan feared he would. He wants to keep his promise to Gohan to try and pull Goku off of this path, so he starts to devise a plan on how to do so. This plan would be similar to what he did with Tien in the actual show to try and get him to move away from the influence of the Crane Hermit. So, this time around he'll try to sway both Tien and Goku back to going down the right path, instead of them following the path they're going down now. Though, not only would Roshi be worrying about Goku, Krillin, Yamcha, and Bulma would probably all notice that Goku is acting strange as well. Master Roshi would most likely inform them of his plan after Goku goes inside to catch up with the Crane School, since they would also want to see the Goku they used to know come back. Obviously, Krillin, Yamcha, and Bulma would agree to help in any way they can. This is where this part will end though, with the preliminaries for the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament about to begin. We have Goku aiming to retake his spot as champion, and Tien's growing resentment of Goku with his goal being to surpass the boy and become the top Crane School student again. While we have Master Roshi worrying about how to get Goku off of this dangerous path he is following, since it can't end well for the young boy. Do you think Master Roshi will be able to get Goku back on the right path? Or will Tien be able to retake his position as the top student at the Cran School? Let me know your thoughts on this what if and what you think will happen next in the comments below. I'm new to writing what if stories like this, so it might not turn out the best or in a way that seems reasonable. Anyway, goodbye for now.